All right, welcome to another episode of NFL Outdated Cover 2 series. This episode, we are talking about the Seattle Seahawks, and I am joined by fantasy football analyst Ledio Hamati. How's it going?
It's going great, going good. How's the day going for you?
Hey, any day I can talk about football is a good day.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of news and a lot of things happening every day, so definitely a lot to keep up with.
Well, especially with the Seahawks, and we'll kind of get right into it. I mean, we talked offline. You've been a fan of the Seahawks, since 2014, since you kind of came over to the country, and what is it like then, kind of saying goodbye to Russell Wilson?
Ooh, it's definitely a hard one, especially for a fan like me. Became a fan when I first moved to the United States, really not knowing anything about football. My friends still had to break down for me what was happening, what was a first down, what was a flag. But Russell was there. I mean, he had been there already for 2 years, so it's kind of hard watching someone that is it's an icon just leave. Definitely one of the best to ever play the game, and definitely the best quarterback that Seattle have had so far. So that was a tough one for sure.
I mean, after the last couple of years, kind of with him kind of saying he wanted to be traded last year, and then kind of with things for the Seahawks, where they're headed this year. I mean, did you kind of at least expect it, or was it still a shock?
I definitely expect. Actually, I was more shocked that we were not able to do, or he wasn't traded last year. I was
Hmm.
definitely expecting him being moved last year. All that conversation with the Bears and
Hmm.
all those big trades being mentioned. I was kind of shocked, but I did expect like signing Jamal Adams and Tyler Lockett. It looked like they were like trying to go all in on this one, and the year definitely didn't go as expected.
Yeah, I mean, and at what point did you just kind of know that this season was kind of I mean, it's probably when he got injured. Russell Wilson got injured, right?
Right, right, and actually, it was actually when he came back. The injury it was a tough one, and even though he came back to that all line, like fix that all line, the one thing that he kept complaining for years, and his biggest fear was exactly what happened. And I think maybe that was its final and the final straw for him that he said, you know what, like that's what I've been asking because here's what happened now.
So, I mean, it does the blame kind of, shift to kind of Pete Carroll and kind of, the leadership, or I mean, was it just, time, and it'll be, it was just, something that had to happen.
It's a little bit mix of everything because I feel like everything goes back to that Super Bowl that will never
Mhm.
be forgotten, which was back in 2014, which it was even the first Super Bowl for me. Being excited to be a Seahawks fan and watching him throw that pick was huge. And I think everything started happening there. I still believe that the Legion of Boom could have stayed for a few more years together and if they would have gone back to back winning it the Super Bowl. And it goes to everyone. I think Russ was like that kid that once he grew up a little bit, got his own idea, his own perspective. He thought that he could run it better on a different way, which the parent at Pete Carroll was like, no, like it's my house, my rules.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. Just that dynamic between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. I mean, Pete Carroll has always been like a player's coach. I mean, what went wrong there then?
I think just the philosophy on that. He's always been a players first, and but his idea has been always like defense first, run game first. Going back, watching the films all the way to USC and everything, he's been focused at running the ball, and uh, he will build a winning team, but he built around the defense. Going there, getting people like Ken Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and Sherman Bobby Wagner, which he's gone too, and it was tough, but that was a different mentality. It was the bad boys there that no one could mess with, and Russ was more like the closing one, like hey, like step up because now I need you to throw the ball because Marshawn uh, got the
Mhm.
first 7 yards, so just get those three really quick. So the team wasn't dependent on him, and the past few years team has been dependent on Russ to make the fourth the 3rd and 10, and 3rd and 12, or even fourth and long.
It's so interesting that, yeah, I mean, the identity of the Seahawks, was Marshawn Lynch, for so long, the running game, and obviously, almost running back by committee with all of the injuries,
Right.
but you have, such two of the most elite wide receivers in the game. How can they kind of not really focus on an air attack when you have those, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf?
Well, I think that Seattle already tried 2 years ago with Schottenheimer being the offensive coach. They already tried to run that the let Russ cook thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
they went pretty throw heavy. Russ was on that crazy pace of, if I'm not wrong, like 60 touchdowns for the year. I mean, they were talking all the way to 72, throwing 5 touchdowns a game. Then we go on the break. We had our break and the bye week where we were 6-0, and he forgot to cook. He forgot to cook. I mean, the pigs start coming, and I think that it's kind of hard because I love Russ, and a lot of Seattle fans do love Russ. But if we want to be realistic when it comes to Russ, he's a great player, but can he be consistently great? Can you go the whole season without being dependent on throw heavy, having to throw 30 times a game and not throw 14, 20 picks on the whole season?
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, that definitely can, put more stress on the defense as well.
And the defense was there all the time. I mean, if we looked at the past 2-3 years, the 3 and out have been so often. And Pete always stressed that run the ball. And it's not because he doesn't trust Russ, it's because you have to manage the clock. It's still running if you're running the ball. No matter if you get 2 yards, if you get 5 yards. And it was hard with Schottenheimer because them were running the same plays over and over. And after the first 6 games, they kind of figure out double DK and be careful Tyler on the sides.
Do you think Russ is going to do well in Denver?
I believe he will. I think Denver has a great defense. Of course, that not just the division, but the whole AFC is insane. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
every game it should be a primetime game. I think we should stretch all
Mm-hmm.
week long to have football every day, so we can watch a primetime game. But has two great weapons, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. I think you have one, the speedster, back at the Tyler Lockett style, and you have the built-in DK. I was actually watching him throw the ball today, and man, I'll miss a moon ball.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see, how he kind of, fits in. But you get Javonte Williams as well there, and they have an interesting, offense there, great defense. Uh, it'll be interesting just to see how all the teams up, beat each other up, throughout the season, because you have them, so many, good defensive players on Chargers and as well. So it's
Right.
going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting, and for Seattle, it's always going to be the what if. Now in NFC, you do have, of course, Kyler Murray, and you have Stafford in our division. We still have questions with the 49ers, but honestly, in the NFC, who's left? You have
Mhm.
Prescott with CeeDee Lamb, of course, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, but Rodgers with no weapons now, and Tom
Mhm.
Brady, of course, he's loaded on that offense. I think Russ did have, or could have, with the team could have had a great chance to make a run this year. Everybody was healthy. Definitely, with the salary cap that they had, they could have addressed that offensive line that he's been begging for years.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting, how they kind of address that going forward. But obviously, now with Russell Wilson gone, the question becomes what next, at quarterback for the Seahawks, and is this kind of like a smokescreen that they're saying that Drew Lock can be the guy, or?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We don't know still if Drew Lock can be the guy. I know that he started hot in the first rookie year, and it's kind of hard. He was fresh, he was young, He had 3 different coaches in his first 3 years. The only QB veteran figure that he had there truly was the one that took actually his job last year. So he really hasn't had someone to look up to. I think the Seattle may run it with Drew Lock, honestly. If it's for me, in my opinion, if they would go with running with Drew Lock or go draft a QB, I'll go for drafting a QB, just not in the first round. I watched a combine with Malik Willis today, and he was great, but still, like, he would still be a rookie. Then you're putting 2 rookies competing for a pretty important job there.
Absolutely. And what about Baker Mayfield?
That's going to be interesting. I was looking at the numbers for Seattle. I mean, they do have about 16 million on salary caps, and this is before the money of Carlos Dunlap gets added. But even with that amount, we still are going to be at 16 because the 6 million that we save from Dunlap, it has to go to the picks and the rookies that we drafting this year. So 60 million would be maybe enough. But if I have to pick between getting someone like Mayfield or using the 60 million to get the more help on the offensive line, I'd rather do offensive line because next year's QB class is going to be loaded, and you have a team with 2 first-round picks, which knowing John Schneider, he may turn those to 3 and trade down this year. There are not a lot of the class defensively. It's amazing on the draft. So they may do that. But Baker, it's an interesting one. It just the Browns do need to eat some of the salary cap on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's really running out of places to go. I mean, but that's the question. Is he even that much better than Drew Lock? And we don't know that yet.
Um, we Baker showed what he had. I mean, he was a Heisman Trophy winner, and kind of showed with OU what he could do the first year. We some of the Browns fans are upset at him. Oh, he is how this, he's that. But they need to remember that the lockers on the Bud Light coolers were still there till he came on. So he was a good quarterback, and he did play a decent football. I'm not gonna say that. We still don't know if he is a franchise QB, but the injuries have been horrible for him too. He does make some of the childish moves or tackling when he intercepts and messing up shoulder and stuff like that. But he does have the potential, and I do know that Pete loves him because we tried to trade Russ back in 2018 to get the draft pick for Baker Mayfield. Seattle was interested on picking Mayfield first overall, so that's interesting.
That would be an interesting connection then. But when you look at the draft, I mean, you talked about Malik Willis's pro day, and it blows my mind. When these scouts and team leaders are highly paid, and they get so enamored with these
Right.
these workouts and that are really just, I mean, glorify their job interviews. But the biggest thing is kind of the tape on game day and all that. And when you look at the picks that the Seahawks have, I mean, what are some needs and targets that you see them going after, and what if they did kind of first round go with Malik Willis? Would you be disappointed or?
Well, I will probably be a little disappointed on that one. The only reason why is it's not Malik Willis, because I do love the guy. He showed today that he was amazing. I mean, one of the throws that he made, like both Josh Allen did and Zach Wilson did last year, and Mahomes has done it. That was beautiful. But what are you going to accomplish as a franchise if you draft a young QB and don't address that O line? Like, what are we going to do and just throw him there? Russ was able to manage it because he had the years and the experience, and he was a little bit more mature to get going. Like, he learned to move in the pocket, but if he went 3 and out, Legion of Boom was there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if the Malik Willis goes 3-and-out, who's going to be there for him? We don't have the same defense. We did add some pieces, but Seattle definitely needs a quarterback. But we still need an offensive line, both tackles. Dwayne Brown is still a free agent. We had a great tackle at Seattle for a whole week, and Patriots end up re-signing Trent Brown,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought it was a done deal. But we still need edge rushers and definitely corner, where we've been struggling for quite a bit since Sherm.
And so you've done some of the mock drafts then, or?
Yes, absolutely. Surprising with all my mock drafts, actually, I do trade down
Mm.
from the pick number 9. You do have teams that still have a lot of bigger needs, like not a lot of wide receivers are in this class that are phenomenal. You have about 5 of them, but you have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of teams that need. In Green Bay definitely needs 2 of them, or maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be in a mix. Seattle can definitely trade down to add a few more picks. We have 2 picks on the second round, and definitely the 9th overall in the league. But some of the picks, some of the trades that I've done is one, for example, you get with Washington. Carson Wentz may not be the answer there, so you trade first round 9th overall and fourth fourth round to add a pick 11 and 48 on the second round,
Mm.
which you add pretty much 3 picks between 41 and 48 for Seattle to add more pieces.
And this really is a deep draft for the defense, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You have a lot of edge rushers, a lot of linebackers, and there are a few corners that we can consider great and just 2, 3 elite. But you can definitely add those pieces and see the competition on how they go and how they compete with each other. Pete always loves a risk, and he likes to go with someone that you'll totally fail the draft class. Let's 2012 was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a straight up F on
Yeah.
everything. But you can definitely Jalen Petrie. It's one of the ones that I keep looking at. He is from Baylor.
Mm.
He's projected to go around first round, last pick of the Lions. We don't know if the Lions will add that or try to add another quarterback to maybe replace Jared Goff there, but I keep noticing that he's one of the ones that keeps dropping on the second round every time.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And when it comes draft time, you're not sure what's going to happen, but there are some players that will rise and some that will fall. And when you look at the quarterbacks, they may rise, and if a quarterback, or a player rose, high enough. I mean, what do you think, or what would you hope then, a player that would, really then fall in Seattle's lap then?
Uh, to be honest, I do love the cornerback Sauce.
Hmm.
He's amazing the way he plays. I think he's a perfect corner for Seattle. But once again, I think he's going to go top 5 or even top 10. But for
Hmm.
Seattle, it's going to be rich to get a corner at the ninth overall. I think a lot of teams that are desperate for a quarterback will try to trade up, and that's one of the best move from Schneider. He can add more picks, or even add an extra first round pick on the following year.
Hmm.
He can drop quite a few on the 20s and still be able to add a tackle or an edge rusher with a first overall pick, and add the second or even in the first next year from those teams.
Yeah, when you look at the team, I mean, there are a lot of holes to fill, a lot of pieces needed, and obviously we haven't gone through the draft officially yet, to see kind of where some of those picks will be at, and how they will fill out the roster. But kind of at where we're at now, what are you expecting from the 2022 season from the Seahawks? And I mean, I guess, yeah, where are you at on that?
Oh, I expect a run first team. I mean, we signed Rashad Penny on a 1 year deal. He got a hometown discount. He took the hometown discount because he loves staying in Seattle. We were able to see the last 6 games what we've been waiting for the last 4 years, and
Hmm.
that was a tough one because we didn't pick his 5th year option at the
Hmm.
beginning of the year, and now we had to go and make a move. I think Seattle is going in the right direction. To be honest, I know it doesn't look like that when you release somebody like Bobby Wagner, which for me it's been my all-time favorite player. And you trade someone like Russ, but we do have to understand that salary cap is there would have been important decision to be made with Russ. You had to decide if you wanted to pay 50 million
Hmm.
next year,
Well,
and
even I would say even with Wagner, like I believe I heard he had negotiated that deal for himself, a few years ago, and it was just that would have been crazy, a crazy amount to keep him on, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. If I'm not wrong, it was around 18 or 20 million
Hmm.
for this year, the cap hit, and it's a large number. I mean, you can get 4 guys for the same number. But what he brings on the table is something unique. He gets 150 plus tackles a year. He's been all pro. He's a definition pretty much of consistency. What's been in NFL and for Seattle, he's been consistent every year. Of course, this past year maybe he wasn't as great in coverage, but that defense had so many holes that for a player like Bobby, it's like where does he focus first? Like stop
Hmm.
the run or drop on the coverage?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about consistency, and the Seahawks have been consistently a contender for a number of years now. Obviously, with when Russell Wilson was there and everything, and um, I mean, when you look at the wins, I mean, it's going to be a tough division, so not a lot of wins
Absolutely.
there. And I mean, if you see enough from some of the younger players that come in, and maybe they only have a few win season, but they're at top of the draft. I mean, are you going to be all right with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you do understand that we have to understand that it is it takes time to come back. We cannot expect to be back in a year or two. There are teams that have not been in Super Bowl for 20 years now, and they're still considered rebuilding over and over till they find the right guys.
Hmm.
But I think this team has what it takes currently. You do have two great running backs at Carson and Rashad Penny, which the key word is if they stay healthy, they
Hmm.
can be a great 1-2 punch. You do have two great wide receivers at DK and Tyler. And the defense, you do have some pieces. I mean, you have Jamal Adams and Quandra Diggs, and of course, Taylor, the pass rusher, which he showed great signs last year. And Jordan Brooks, when we drafted him, they said he will be the Bobby Wagner's replacement. He plays like
Hmm.
Wagner and everything, and he has shown that. So the pieces are there. It will take time, and they have to address. I think the team has to address everything faster when it comes to it, so we don't have to go through paying Jamal and paying Diggs, and later on to next year we have to pay DK.
So that's my question. I mean, do they trade him?
If there is a possibility of course, trading and starting fresh, but DK's type of player and talent comes that don't come often, especially
Hmm.
for where they got him. Fun fact, actually, I wanted Nikhil Harry during the
Mm.
draft, and I
Mm.
kept looking at his
Mm.
film, and I'm like, we need this guy. So when the Patriots took him, I'm like, I guess I have to settle for DK, and I'm probably have never been that wrong in my life
Mhm.
because DK was clearly the choice. But it all depends even what they do this year with a quarterback. The second round, we have two picks back to back, and one of my favorite QBs for the draft value that we can get him on. It's been Corral from
Mm.
Ole Miss,
Mhm.
where DK played with him back in college.
Mhm.
They're familiar with each other, so they can. but DK does have to stay. The team has to keep him happy and have to pay the money. But of course, depending on how much, because Devonta Adams definitely set the bar pretty high.
He absolutely did, and when you look at where he's at, DK is definitely one of the top 5 wide receivers in the game.
Yeah, the problem is going to be, can he show it?
Yeah.
When you don't have a QB, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
hard for him to prove himself. So it's going to be even harder for him to get paid. Now, I know quite a few teams that can definitely use him. I mean, you can have Green Bay drop one of those first round picks for DK, and will be a perfect replacement for Adams. Maybe he doesn't have the same route running skills as Adams does, but his speed and
Mm-hmm.
his strength, that will be amazing with Aaron Rodgers.
So you talked about kind of needing time for this team to kind of develop and obviously get the picks back and the players back. And I guess my question is, how much time does Pete Carroll have, and how much longer will he coach?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and it truly depends who you ask. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
say he should have stopped a couple years back, and
Right.
um, I think as long as the team is still managed by the owner Jody Allen, he will be there. Um, sh- we don't see. I know that the news say that she is really involved on the team and everything, but the way that the defense was playing, any other owner, like let's get an example, the Cowboys owner, he would have fired the defensive coach on the spot. The way that
Mm-hmm.
giving 400 yards a game for 2 years back to back. So I think as long as she is there, Pitt will stay. I'm not going to be shocked if Pitt stays for another 2-3 years or even longer. It's going to be tough getting that rebuild again. But Seattle has quite a few picks now. You have 2 first rounds next year and 2 seconds next year, 2 seconds this year, and a first round this year. So there are quite a few picks on the first 2 rounds for next 2 years to build that O line and add a corner and a QB.
And do you trust Pete Carroll to kind of make those decisions now? Going into this year.
The, it's a tricky question because the past few years drafts have not shown that he is able uh, to make the right pick, and Seattle has been struggling when it comes to making the right decision on any of the picks. First
Mm-hmm.
rounds, we've been. I mean, we picked Rashad Penny, and the same year we have skipped players like Nick Chubb,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's going to be. Um, I still have a little bit faith on Pete, um, and I don't know if it's because I do trust him or it's because I don't have any other options and I have to do the best and what on the situation. But I do think that they can definitely fix that defense. I think the team is going in the right direction with a coach that they hired on defense, and they brought the assistant from Chicago. And
Mm-hmm.
we did to hire a new offensive coach again from the Rams. And who knows, maybe um, he takes Pete's job once he's gone, and we bring a offensive minded coach. Maybe he's grooming him. Who knows? But
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be tough. I think he's so stuck on that old school run first and everything. And I know that with playing defense, you could have won a championship, but teams are going so fast. To look at Buffalo and even Cowboys and the Chiefs, it's just such a fast teams. Um, you need to keep up. You need to keep up with everyone.
Absolutely. And have you been to a few games then, or?
Yeah, I've had the chance to because I live in Arizona right now, so I've had the chance to go when here in Arizona when Seattle has played, and definitely I haven't been to Seattle yet. Uh, that was actually telling my wife that I definitely wanted to go when we played the Broncos because
Mm,
like this I get to see Russ there
mhm.
too. Uh, but it's an interesting stadium that maybe I'll have to wait a little bit longer to see the excitement of the fans.
Well, yeah, and I have it in the background here, but I mean, they've really kind of fallen off as far as like a home field advantage over the last couple years, at least this past year, I believe, haven't they?
Oh yeah, it's been surprising because even 2 years ago we had a better record of the field and in our stadium. So it's been an interesting one. I think I think the team needed this restart, and it's going to be tough watching a team without Russ and Bobby, but having having this restarted, I think it's even better than having two people just butting heads all the time about how to run the team, and it's not healthy for the young players on the team. It's not healthy for Russ. I mean, I hope he goes to right now that he's with Broncos. I hope he wins a ton of Super Bowls unless he's playing against us, and I wish him all the best. But he was an icon in Seattle with everything that he did on the field and outside the field. So I think that we will see definitely a few fans missing this year. But Seattle was always loud even before we got Russ, and when
Hmm.
Seattle was just another team in NFL. We definitely had the loudest fans there, or better say, arguably the loudest fans, because a lot of teams and fans will jump and say no on that one. But hopefully, we go back to that.
Absolutely. And you kind of, if you had to, wager a guess, do you think that Russell Wilson wins another Super Bowl, or at least maybe goes to another Super Bowl?
I think that he has a team to build to go for to another Super Bowl. I think it's going to depend to after this coming year when the contract negotiations start. What do you want to be? I do see a lot of players going for breaking their records on getting the
Hmm.
highest paid. We have gone all the way to 50 million right now, which is it's
Crazy.
outrageous, and
Yeah.
you cannot expect to sign other pieces.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
when you look at teams that do well, a lot of times you'll have the quarterback on the rookie deal, or on a not the most expensive contract.
well, and we do have examples with Drew Brees,
Hmm.
keep taking a cut. I mean, let's look at Tom Brady. He got
Hmm.
took another contract cut just to bring Fournette back in the team. So you have to figure out what do you want to do. Do you want to make a ton of money, or do you want to take less and pay the other guys? I know that with Green Bay right now, Aaron Rodgers took quite a bit of change, and I know that Devonta Adams wanted his bag, and I know that they say that yeah, the Green Bay tried to pay him and everything,
Hmm.
but for the past 2 years, when you have been in the back burner and Aaron Rodgers was a whole focus, and they came to you only in the end. They're like, oh yeah, you have to get paid too, I guess. How
Yeah.
much do you want? Then you're gonna lose everyone because look at him now. Great,
Hmm.
uh, Devon Adams is gone, so who's he gonna throw the ball to?
Yeah, that'll be a big question mark. And well, I definitely appreciate your time coming on. And where can everyone find you again?
Oh, absolutely. You can definitely find me on Twitter at Hamati Ledio, and thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Hopefully, we can definitely do this again. But uh, everyone, just keep liking all the videos and subscribe. Don't forget that button so you can get all the notifications. And thank you for watching.
All right, thanks again. And once again, it's been NFL Outdated Cover 2 series on the Seattle Seahawks. Thanks again, Ledio.
Appreciate it.